Good afternoon, everyone. I almost said good morning, Carleen, because I'm so used to being live in the morning. But good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. I am here today with Carleen Lamay of C2 Accounting. She is my bookkeeper, and she can be yours too. Her whole team is amazing. So thank you for being here today, Carleen.
Thank you for having us on this pre-holiday weekend.
I know it's 4th of July. Woo! I can't wait to see some fireworks. I usually cover my ears and blink a lot, but I still like going.
Understood.
All right.
Understood.
So today is balanced bookkeeping, where we talk about everything related to people's numbers and managing their money smarter for their interior design business. So how do they do that?
So one of the things they can do is creating a financial plan for their business.
Ooh,
So yeah, and when you say financial plan, think more, it's more than just a spreadsheet. It's like your business vision, but in numbers. Right. So, kind of in this session, what we're hoping to do is talk about like a financial plan that supports your short and long term goals and how is it different than a budget, and then how to adjust it as your business evolves.
okay. All right. So let's get into it. How is a financial plan different from a budget?
Okay, we're gonna just jump ahead to that one. So basically, when you think about a budget, we go back. A financial plan is like the destination, is the vision, it's the big picture, it's the why, and it's the where. Where a budget is like the actual roadmap, it's the how and the now, right? So it's like I want to go on a trip, I want to go to Thailand, I want to do this. That's the big picture. That's the goal. You have a plan, like yes, we're going to do this trip in June, and then you actually have to have all these little micro steps. That's kind of the budgeting part. So that's how I want to look at it. It's really big picture money strategy. It outlines like where your business is going, how you'll get there financially, and then that allows you to make your decisions confidently.
Okay. Okay.
Does
Got it.
that make yeah? Does that
It does.
the
Yeah,
difference
because
between
a
a budget?
budget, yeah, a budget, you're saying this is how much I plan on spending on marketing, and then you're tracking throughout the year how much you spent on marketing. But your
Right.
business plan is like, this is where I want to take my business. And these are
Like for
some of the
yes, or like
metrics.
I want to grow to $750,000 a year. That's a plan. That's a goal. It's you can't really budget for that, right? You could say
Right.
I want to grow to $750,000 in revenue. Maybe I want to hire a junior designer, and then the budget says I'm allocating $4,000 a month to marketing, or I'm saving $1,000 a month towards hiring. That's the difference
Correct.
between the two.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So what should tell us about this financial plan?
So part of the overall financial plan is you want to have your short-term goals. So these are short-term goals are like things that will stabilize your business and then set like foundation for bigger moves. So an example could be building a 3-month emergency fund. And I know that for some people, 6 months is ideal, but maybe just start with three to get that
Yes.
initial cushion, right?
Hmm.
How about paying yourself consistently? Because how many times are people getting into a business and that's not what they're doing? So before you can think 6 years down the road, can we just start paying ourselves consistently now, even if it's a small amount? Obviously, it could be investing in software that's going to help run your business more efficiently.
Yes.
It could be raising your rate. So these are all like short-term financial plan goals that you can set. Setting money aside consistently for taxes, not just sales taxes, but income taxes. And if you have a good tax planner, making sure that you're paying those taxes on a quarterly basis, so you don't get hit with, all the interest and penalties for not making payments throughout the year.
Yes.
So in short term, like 0 to 12 months. So, like, think less than a year. What can I
Okay. I
do?
was going to say a short term,
Yep,
3 months, 6 months,
3
a
months,
year.
6
So
months,
you're
anything
saying about a
I
year.
would say anything less than a year. I mean,
Okay.
time moves really fast. The fact that we're already in July is crazy. So if you're just like 3 months, I mean, 3 months nowadays, it seems to go by really quickly. So I would say 0 to 12 months is a really realistic short-term goal.
Okay.
Okay, so that means conversely, long-term goals are going to be like 1 to 5 years or even further out. So that could be, depending on where you are in revenue now. Like say you're only at 100,000 in revenue, your long-term goal could be I want to get to a half a million. I want to get to a million in annual revenue. I want to open a showroom or a studio. Maybe I want to create a course. Maybe Nancy is my, my vision. I want to be like her, and I want to do that. That could be a long-term goal. I need to start funding my IRA or 401k. How about a good goal? which is one that I believe in, taking a sabbatical, being able to be the true CEO of your business, stepping back, letting it run without you, while you go take 2 weeks to a month off, right? That's a real,
Imagine that.
could you imagine? That's a goal.
That is the
And that's
goal.
a goal I think all of us can get behind.
Yeah, that
So,
is a goal. I'd like to get behind that one.
right,
But
and
yeah,
then you can start budgeting for or start planning for it, like, what do I need to do? How much cushion do I need to have put aside? What do I need to do to train my team to get to that? So, it kind of encompasses more than just your numbers. It's really like, how do I wanna live my life, and how am I using my business to get there?
do you have any recommendations on categories that should be in a financial plan?
It's what's
Because
important
like
to
you
you.
said, it's not just numbers, right? It's your
Right.
numbers. This is my goal 1 year from now. This is my 5 year goal. Both, sales revenues, income revenues, but is there categories?
I mean, they're general, kind of, we just said revenue. It could be opening a space. It could be hiring people. It could be taking time off from the business.
So it's
It
more like the vision.
Right, exactly. And so this is one of the things, you can't just outsource your financial plan. Like,
Right,
you can
exactly.
kind of outsource maybe your budgeting process, because that's, we can look at your old numbers, but as
Right,
your bookkeeper, I can help guide you.
right.
We can crunch numbers together. We can bring clarity to, like, your options, but the financial plan has to start with the actual business owner, the CEO, because it's their vision. I can support you and encourage you along the way. I can hold the map, but you need to know where you're trying to go, because I can tell you where I want to go, but it may not, what's important to me at this stage in my life may not be important to someone else, right? Like, you and I are a little bit older. We're in our 50s. So what's important to us in our 50s is totally different than someone who's in their 20s or 30s.
I wish
So,
I was still in my 50s, but thank you.
oh, well,
Um,
I, yeah, I just made you younger. So,
yes, you
but
did. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
but do you know what I mean, though? Like, so
Yeah.
I can give people some guidance, but I need to understand what's important to them and where they're trying to get to.
Right.
Um,
Like if they have young kids, they could be sitting there going, okay, my goal is to be able to work just during
Lessons.
the hours my kids are in school. Afterwards, I want to be free. I'm looking to bring $60,000 into my household as a
Exactly.
salary. And so, and by year one, this is good for me because my kids are young. But by year five, when my kids are older, I want to be making 200,000 by that. Like that's what
Exactly.
you're saying when it comes to the
Exactly.
financial piece. And then you can do the vision piece too. Right now, I'm a solopreneur with one virtual assistant, but by 5 years from now, I want to have a social media person, a bookkeeper, a junior designer, like whatever. So you're
Exactly.
putting it down on
Exactly.
paper what your vision is.
I had a conversation today with a client, and one of the questions I asked her was, what type of building business are you building? Are you looking for just a lifestyle business where once you're done, the business ends? Or are you looking for one that either you can step back and just be like the chairman of the board, the CEO, and someone else runs it, or you want to sell it? Like
Right.
that, those, having that clarity drives a very different roadmap for people. So you need to know what's
Yes.
important to you and what you want. Um, so, like I said, you really can't outsource your vision, but we can help you execute the financial plan. Once we know where you're trying to go, then we can help you build forecasts, track numbers, and maybe strategize. And hopefully, you have a good bookkeeper or financial person that's in your corner that can help hold that space for you.
Yes, I agree. Okay. Excellent.
And
Anything else?
so once you have this plan, once you come up with some categories that make sense to you, you have the big picture, right? We've talked about short-term goals, long-term goals, and you have it written down. The thing is, you want to review it, I would say quarterly, because as you and I both know, what's important to you now may not be what's important to you in 6 months or even a year. Like, life changes. So making sure that that's still important to you, and to see, are you on track to get to where you need to go? Do you need to make some changes? Was your plan to hit, let's say 500,000, and it's October and you're still only at 200? So what do you need to do differently? Do you need to push out that timeline? Do you need to increase sales? Like, what is it so that you can kind of start getting
Right.
to
What
where
do
you're
you
trying
have
to
to
go?
adjust
Where do you
to?
have to adjust? You want to just track if you're meeting these KPIs. Like, once you know what you're trying to achieve, then you can look at things like how your profit margin is going to help you get there. What's your monthly cash flow? And so also you're reviewing your financials. I mean, of course, you should review your financials monthly, but the plan, I would say at least quarterly.
At least quarterly, and then
Hmm.
match them against your business plan, your financial
Exactly.
plan that you set for yourself, let's say back in December or November for the coming year, and go, okay, I'm a little off track. Can I get this back on track? Or do
Right.
I need to readjust?
And be kind to yourself.
And
Like
be kind.
just because things aren't the way you planned doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong.
You
Just,
know, I got to tell you, this is a message I leave often. And there's one client in particular who's going through a really hard time right now. And I said to her, she's quite a bit younger than us. And I said to her via my business helpline, the walkie talkie app that all my clients get, um, this is the life of an entrepreneur. There's
Mhm.
seasons, there's ups, there's downs. And to be able to ride them through, I'm talking not even financially, but mentally,
Yep.
right? Right. And I was quite honest with her. I was like, you know what? There's been recent history where I thought, okay, I might have to let some staff go. I may have to reduce my salary myself. And then boom, within, a month, it's changed and it's back up, right? These ups and downs of running a business are real. And if
Yes.
you have the financial plan that you've set for your 1 year and 5 year goal, sometimes looking back at that, you go, okay, I'm still okay,
Right.
right? I'm still on
Yes.
track. I just have to tweak something.
Yes, month to month would be a little scary, especially in an interior design business, because when you get
For
your
sure.
money in versus when you're actually procuring like furniture, they usually don't align. So if you're looking at your January numbers, you're like, yes, we had a net income of $50,000, and then February is like, oh, we lost 10,000, right? It can be very jarring. So you have to look at it holistically
Long
and
term and
not just in a
holistic.
silo.
Yes.
And it's funny that you mentioned seasons because that was one of my next things was talk about adjusting for seasonality. I've been doing this with you for what 2 or 3 years now, and we've seen like in August traditionally things slow down. And if you can see this year after year, you can be better prepared for the next August. Like if you
Yes.
know that August is going to slow down for your business historically, have that cash on hand. Do not put yourself in a place where you're gonna be stressed out with how you're gonna make payroll. To have cash because usually that meant you had a great June or a great May, and the
Yes.
cash needs to be there to cover August when August is kind of crazy, and vice versa. Like you mentioned, you have these downturns
Yeah.
and then you have these upturns. Then you go
Yep.
from like, oh, we don't have enough work to, oh my gosh, how do we meet the demand? So it could also be mean that it part of your overall planning is having access to temporary help when you need it. Maybe you don't need to always have someone full time because
Right.
the work isn't consistent, but who can you tap into to meet those peaks when work gets because you don't want to say no to a
Correct.
job, but
Right.
so what can you do to make sure you have the capacity to meet that?
Yes. So it's funny when we talk, it's totally for anyone who's watching live or on replay. This is CEO talk. This is what you should be thinking about as the CEO of your business, right? You're the
Exactly.
chief executive officer, you're the owner.
Even
But
if it's just
most,
you are still the CEO.
right, even if I have a team, I'm still the CEO. If it's just me, I'm still the CEO. And the
Mhm.
problem is that most people get stuck being the employee, which they
Mhm.
also hold that hat too, two different hats,
Right.
and they get stuck in that employee mindset of just keeping up with work, and they don't stop to do these things. And that's part of what keeps them in that same cycle over and over again.
I would say one thing from a CEO perspective is blocking some time out on your calendar. So we talk about doing annual planning, which it's already July, so probably the next couple of months you should be already looking at how you're going to plan your 2026, which sounds scary. Sounds
I
crazy to be saying
know.
those words, but
No.
yes, we got to start thinking about planning 2026.
Yeah.
Go ahead and put on your calendar, one week in a month that you're going to really focus on this, or a week, a quarter, or 3 days. Maybe you need to, like, if you have small kids at home, maybe you yourself need to take yourself from home, go to a hotel for a couple of days and just focus on business planning. You're not talking to clients, you're not working with your team, you're not being mom, you're not being wife, you're not being partner, whatever. You're really focusing on being the CEO. Sometimes you have to just get yourself away from the day to day to be able to do that.
My associate coach, Leslie Myrick, has young kids still and a very busy household. And she does this. She literally gives herself a 2-day retreat in a hotel, and she plans out her next year with every detail that she can think of, all her desires, all her wants, any of the realities of each of them, and
Hmm.
lists out how she wants her year to go. And
Yeah,
that is her guiding light for the
you
entire
have to
year.
have it. And
Yeah.
will things change? Of course, but having a plan and having a destination is better than just getting in a car and driving, because you
Yes,
don't know where you're going to end up. But at least if I have a plan, even if I have to have a detour and my GPS goes rerouting, then I can
that's
still
right.
get to where I need to go. I just may need to reroute.
That's right. You'll be
Your own GPS.
your own GPS. I am rerouting.
Exactly.
But okay, good. All right. Did we cover everything?
I think we cover everything, but let's just recap, right? So we talked
Yes.
about the differences between a financial plan and a budget. We talked about
Mhm.
short-term goals, long-term goals, how it's your vision, and no one can hold that space for you. Like you have to come up with it, and then people can support you in getting there. You really can't grow a thriving business if you're only looking at like what's in front of you. You just can't. As a business owner, as a CEO, you do have to have that forward thinking lens on. It's
Yeah.
just not, it's just a job. You're
Yeah.
just giving yourself a job. But use your financial plan to set your vision and then budget to execute that plan. So I would say if anyone's like, okay, I'm thinking about doing this, but I'm not sure where to start, like a good short-term action could be write down one short-term goal and one long-term goal this week. And if you have a team or an accountability partner or a coach or a bookkeeper, just share it with them. Like, so someone can be like checking in on you. Hey, this is your goal. How are you doing? Because sometimes just
Yeah.
have knowing that someone's going to ask you
Yes.
means you'll get it done. Right.
Yes. Which reminds me, I'm going to go ask my clients how they're doing if I haven't heard from them.
There you go. You just, it takes that accountability.
It
You
does.
think we're all adults. We can just do it all on our own. But no, sometimes
Mhm.
we just need someone helping us out.
Absolutely. I remember when I used to do Weight Watchers, it wasn't really about doing the Weight Watchers. It was about the fact that I'd have to step on that scale in front of somebody and they were writing down my weight. So I was like, oh, all right, make a better decision.
Exactly.
Right. So it's the same thing. So, all right, everyone, if you do not have a bookkeeper that you can ask questions to, even the ones you think are dumb, even though they're not dumb,
Never know.
and you're just not keeping up on your reconciliations, on your QuickBooks, you don't know where to start, you're not financial planning or any of the above, please go to c2-accounting.com. It's above Colleen's head and get an appointment with Carleen. She is really good at speaking English to accounting. That's the
We
way I
try
look
very
at it.
hard. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that.
It really makes a huge difference. So, all right, go have a great day. Thank you, Colleen, and we'll see
Thank
you next
you.
time.
Have
Okay.
a good
Bye,
one.
everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.